Hey folks, Eden Grower Creedmoor here, coming to you from my main garden. Today is my favorite day of the year because I get to plant sweet potatoes, so my hawk's up there screaming. So we're going to plant sweet potatoes today. Sound cool? Yeah, anyway, this will be inserted as part one of the 5-part series on sweet potatoes, their care, and what you need to know about them. This last part is actually the first part, where we plant the sweet potatoes. Y'all have seen how fruitful the ground can be. You're going to get to see it again, only this time you're going to get to see it from a perspective of, I'm about to drop some seeds. So if you've ever had some questions, what do I need to do? How do I get them to grow in the Eden garden? I'm going to answer them all right now. Very, very simple. You need two things. You need a seed and you need some chips. I'm going to put the two together in a super comprehensive way. And if y'all can follow along, I think you're going to find that it's so super comprehensive that even a child can do it. In any event, it starts with your layout. Y'all saw where we did this last year. I'll turn you around so you can see it this year. Here we go. Got a little red string out there on a white post, sort of designating the planting line. It's kind of a long row, but I'll probably only get about 10 plants in it, and that's more than enough. So I'll rake out each individual spot. I am going to move the center line a little further from the fence. I want to keep them a little further away from my cucumbers and my other sweet things growing above that, but that's the basic premise. All right, let's see how that works out. Okay folks, here we have the holes that I dug out. Y'all can see I dug down to the more fertile soil that's below the top cover. This did get covered in the fall. So here's a good example of it. You can see the difference in colors. I'm going to drop the sweet potato in this layer. We wouldn't want to sit it right on top of this, even though it would work. But we're going to drop it here, and then we're going to cover it with these very old chips that came from the area. And we can put younger chips on top of it. That's fine. They won't hurt it. The youngest chip I have right now is only a couple of weeks old. I won't be using that. I'll be deferring that so that I can use the chips that have been here for a year. But basically, we're going to use what we have here to cover it, and then I'm going to cover that again with another layer of chips. So you got me. In the next picture, you'll see me dropping the seed and covering it up by hand. A little windy, so you'll bear with me. Okay, so I was able to make 12 holes. So now I've got to get 12 seeds. I'm going to select 12 seeds from some of the seeds, or I should say some of the sweet potato stock that I have from last fall. There's nothing wrong with them, and they're going to grow perfectly. I'm only going to use one per hole, and then I'll keep my eye on the whole assemblage of plants. And if I notice that one doesn't come up, I'll just put another seed in next to it. They don't go bad. They don't go bad until they're completely dry. So I'm going to take you over to where my seeds are sitting, and I'll let you sit on the selection process. There we go. Okay, so here's my bucket of sweet potato seeds. Okay, I'm in the shady spot underneath the cherry tree because it's wicked hot. Yeah, this is something I use. That's going in the ground. Y'all can see that? One. We're going to get 12 like that. That'd grow. Had a little bit of bug issues, but it'll still grow. Definitely. Yeah. Sulfur. We'll talk about that in a second. So I need a few more. So we will take that. Maybe that one down there. A little rot right there. Maybe we don't use that one because it's too far along. That'll work. I'll also show you that I'm going to do something, one more step that's going to kind of give you an idea where I'm not really that worried about things like mold and fungus. We're going to treat them. so there's the keepers. The rest of those will probably get composted. I've already got a couple that I put in the ground before. So now we're going to take some of this sulfur right here. Y'all can see that in the bag, powdered sulfur. And we're going to put it on them, and they're going to get a coating in it, and then they're going to go right in the ground. Y'all ready? Hang on. Okay, so here I put sulfur on top. I'm just going to cover it with the lid. Hard to do while you're holding the camera. I'm going to try to cover it with the lid. And shake it up a little bit gently. Okay. Alright, so here we have it. Just pry this lid off. Super, super simple. Put one right there in the ground. Gonna go right on down the line. Rather than go up empty-handed, we're just going to go ahead and cover them. It really is that simple, folks. If I lay the cover right, the soil that was down low will remain down low. This one's small. Let's cheat and put another one next to it. A little Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass, huh? That Bermuda grass grew in there after I took my sweet potatoes out. Had a little bit of time to do so. Once these sweet potatoes are growing really well and the vines are going all over the place, they'll be managed to a 36-inch diameter. They're kept that way. I'll simply cut below one of the nodes. Take those, they can be planted somewhere else. There's always a lot of vine shoots that can be used somewhere else. If you only have one or two of these sweet potatoes, you can still plant a whole bunch of sweet potatoes. As the vines come off, you can cut them near a node, a downturned node, and then you can plant that. You'll get another potato. I do not use slips because it's not necessary. I'm in the south. Sweet potatoes are heat lovers. So the second they make contact with this moist soil, they start to grow. By the time all is said and done, I'll have probably 3 or 4 inches of soil on top of the potato. Sunlight will permeate just enough to act as a catalyst for life in the sweet potato. Within 30 days, should already be up and thriving. If you don't see it up and thriving in 30 days, put another seed down. I don't usually wait that long. I just keep a close eye on it. But you can. If your area is a little bit too cool, it might take longer for them to germinate. But right now, I say the sun on the back of Creedmoor's back is probably 82 degrees, 83 degrees, more than warm enough. And that's it, folks. Follow this with a little bit of fish emulsion on the top, sprayed gently at a rate of about 4 ounces per gallon. And I'll keep an eye on them for growth over the next couple of weeks and do what I can to embellish them. As I see them start to grow, I'll switch over to using primarily compost teas, and we'll go all the way to the finish line like that. So as I was saying before, I'm going to go ahead and feed with 4 ounces of fish emulsion pre-Allen, and we're going to basically just apply it to chips. That's it. Y'all can see my cherry tree here. Same amount, 4 ounces. I'm going to put it right down there at the base. Doesn't even really need to be foliar fed. If I do that, there's a chance I could attract aphids, and aphids are active around here this time of the year still. But, you know, it's going to rain later. I don't mind getting a little on the marigolds. But I'm really primarily concerned with this juncture here between the darker color on the right and the lighter color chips on the left, because that's the exact line where those sweet potatoes are planted. So I'm expecting rain, so I thought, let me come down here and apply a little bit of this stuff. You know, put it on there, let it soak in, let the nitrogen work its magic in the chips, and let it stay there to be paid out later on. Everything will be happy. And as long as I stay basically just to the right of where I planted, I'm fine. But yeah, you don't have to inundate the crops with this level of fertilizer. Rarely do I ever put 4 ounces of fish emulsion on weeds and plants. It's just not necessary. But I will put it right direct to the chips. So it's just another great way to get fish oil. Fish is natural fertilizer. It's long since been known to enhance fertility and feed plants direct. Who doesn't have a grandparent who didn't bury a fish in the garden and then they came up with the most wicked tomatoes? I guess that's kind of where it all comes from anyway. Our grandparents did things better than us. Now we're just trying to figure things out. But we do this every year and it works the same. It's very consistent, it's very effective, minimally invasive. It feeds the soil microbiome, it feeds the plants, it feeds everything. So definitely don't have any apprehension or reluctance about using Alaskan fish emulsion. It's a good product. It's sold under various names, various brands. Try it. If you find a brand you like, stick with it. That's all there really is to it. You can get just about any garden to go with it. It's very gentle. Its NPK rating is typically in the range of 511. Just thought I'd add this little insert on feeding, since it's actually what I'm doing right now. I'll take the time. I like to do this type of feeding before the rain, so the rain can wash itself, and everything else right into the soil even better. And you can see here, I'm just drenching everything around it. If you've got plants, just continue to drench the chips. Continue to drench the soils. See, I can do this and my chips don't wash away. If this was clay, it'd be taking on lots of moisture, and then eventually it would begin to move. I'd be a lot more concerned feeding my plants if they were growing directly in the clay. I'd be concerned with erosion and all kinds of other things happening. But in the case of wood chips, we really don't have to worry about that. The stuff's not going to go anywhere. Really, it's going to get absorbed into the wood chips because they're hydrophilic, and then it's going to get paid out to the microbiome a little at a time. They're going to consume it, they're going to enhance, they're going to get consumed themselves by other things that are living in here, and all of that nutrient's going to go straight to my sweet potatoes. It's so super consistent. It works this way so reliably over and over and over again. If I had to grow them in the dirt, really, I'd be a lot more skeptical. I'd be a lot more careful about amending, and I'd probably, I wouldn't expect them to last as long, because when you grow them in the dirt, they don't last as long. Most of the time the dirt is really, really bacteria dominant, and bacteria is the primary decomposer of things like sugars and starches. You're going to find that growing them in wood chips where the primary decomposer is fungi, you'll find that they last longer. They come out of the ground cleaner. They stay hydrated longer. They stay well in your root cellar longer. And therefore, by extension of that, the following year when you're going to grow them again, you've still got viable seeds to use. And that's how we're able to do this. Alright, so there you have it. Now you know how to plant them, you know how to feed them, you know how to keep them cut to about a 36-inch diameter. What else can be said?